The Los Angeles Dodgers are going absolutely all in as a new report reveals a massive update on the trade talks, yes, actual talks that have happened between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Detroit Tigers for an ace pitcher. We're breaking it all down here today. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. I'm here to bring you everything you need to know about what's happening with the Dodgers right now. I appreciate you hanging out with me and tuning in to today's breakdown. We had a report a couple days ago that it seemed like the Dodgers were potentially going to be in the mix for Tarik Skubal. Well, today we got that officially confirmed. And not only confirmed, it seems like the Tigers are actually considering the offer. Now we know that Andrew Friedman has been working behind the scenes, staying quiet, not making a ton of noise. Obviously, the Edwin Diaz signing popped up out of nowhere. He got the guy he wanted, landed the top closer on the market, and probably for good reason. Robert Suarez signed with the Atlanta Braves today, so that option is off the table. The Dodgers, for as much as people want to talk about their outfield or whatever else they might need for next year, the one thing that would legitimately make them better was a lockdown closer. Friedman went out and got that. Now there are new rumblings and rumors going around about a certain Mr. Tarik Skubal. The Detroit Tigers are really messing up this situation, in my opinion. They offered Skubal a contract that they considered to be good for a guy who had just won back-to-back Cy Young awards. Tarik Skubal looked at it, laughed, and basically said no. Because guess what? There was a $250 million difference between what the Tigers offered and what he and his camp were expecting. So what are the next steps for the Tigers? What are the next steps for teams across Major League Baseball? Well, it seems like a trade might be on the table because the Tigers don't really want to give up Tarik Skubal for nothing if he leaves next year in free agency. But at the same time, our team's going to be willing to give an absolute haul to Detroit for a guy who could leave in free agency next year if you don't pony up and give him the $400 million or whatever he's going to demand. We got a new report from Bob Nightengale. The Dodgers and Tigers have held serious trade talks about a potential Tarik Skubal trade at the winter meetings. He said that the Dodgers prospect package was intriguing to Detroit, which helped spark all the buzz. In the full official report from Bob Nightengale at USA Today, basically everything that the Dodgers threw at the Tigers, Detroit looked at it and said, we like that, we really do. And Andrew Friedman, I feel like now he stepped back and said, that's our offer, you come back to me if this is what you're considering or if we need to add more or whatever. This very much feels to me like a deal the Dodgers are, I'm not going to say hell-bent on getting done because ultimately the Tigers have to be the other party agreeing to this, but if Tarik Skubal gets traded, it will be to the Los Angeles Dodgers. There's no doubt in my mind about that. The question is it worth it for the Dodgers? We all know how good Tarik is. I've shown you his stats 1,000 times at this point, and you've probably seen them shoved down your throat on MLB Network and other publications. But it really doesn't even begin to show how good and how generational Tarik Skubal has been over the past couple years and looks to be for the next 3, 4, 5, maybe even a decade, depending on how you look at it. Obviously, pitchers can fluctuate and you never know what's going to happen. But winning the Cy Young in back-to-back years, having an ERA of 2.21 and a whip of .891 is absolutely spectacular. 241 strikeouts to only 141 hits allowed. He is the definition of an ace. He is the definition of dominant on the mound. For the Dodgers, they have some interesting pieces that have already been talked about in potential trades, or at least been floated around by The Athletic and ESPN. We've shown this potential package before, but just to put it back up there, Emmett Sheehan, Tyler Glasnow, and Yasway DePaula, who's the number 2 prospect for the Los Angeles Dodgers. We know that Glasnow has been mentioned in trade talks for the Dodgers, according to multiple reports. That was something that surprised me to hear. But again, in this situation, if the Dodgers know that when they get Skubal, they can extend him, which I think is very much a possibility given the Dodgers' financial situation, then why not make the move? Especially when you're giving up Glasnow already, you're getting a pretty significant return for him. Now, I don't know if that was the exact trade package that was offered. We don't know if they offered anything close to that. But the fact that the Detroit Tigers were even interested starts to catch your attention and gets your mind racing thinking, man, if the Dodgers were able to pull this off, they would have a starting rotation, and this is assuming Emmett Sheehan and Tyler Glasnow were traded in this deal. Their starting rotation would be Tarik Skubal, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's a Cy Young caliber pitcher, Shohei Ohtani, the best player on the planet and World Series MVP, Blake Snell, who's a Cy Young winner in his own right, and Roki Sasaki, who last year was considered the best rookie pitcher to ever come out of Japan. That would be absolutely deadly. And not just deadly, it would be something that the rest of MLB probably wouldn't be able to compete with. This is going to be a very big talking point. What did the Dodgers actually offer? If they did offer Glasnow, is that going to be enough to land a guy like Tarik Skubal? Glasnow, for as good as he is the same age as Skubal. If you include Emmett Sheehan, if you include Josue DePaula, that's a whole different conversation. Glasnow is a really good pitcher, 3.19 ERA last year with a 1.096 whip. We do know about the injury concerns, though. Only 90 innings pitched last year in just 18 games. That's something to note, but at the same time, he's been very good throughout his entire career, going back to his Tampa Bay Rays days as well. Now, I think the important thing to understand here is obviously they're not going to give up Tarik Skubal for Tyler Glasnow straight up, but you add in the fact that Emmett Sheehan is potentially in this deal, a guy a lot of Dodgers fans really like, including myself. And most of us feel like this guy could be a legitimate starter for the Dodgers in the upcoming season. Obviously, that kind of depends on how things shake out. I think Sheehan only gets a starting role if there are injuries or if they trade Glasnow without getting a pitcher in return. If we go back to the starting rotation in a scenario where Skubal isn't on the team, it's Yamamoto, Ohtani, Snell, Sasaki, and your fifth guy would be Emmett Sheehan if you trade Glasnow. I do like him. I think he's been very good, but it's just hard for some organizations to put up or shut up when it comes to Tarik Skubal. I think the Dodgers are the only team in MLB who legitimately believe they can go out, make this trade, and within days or weeks execute an extension for Tarik Skubal. When you talk about the new potential luxury tax rules coming after this season, the Dodgers might be saying, hey, we're going to spend all our money and we're going to do it as quickly as possible. Bob Nightengale of USA Today did put this out there at the end of his article saying, prediction, Skubal will stay put. There's simply no team that will strip their farm system for 1 year of Skubal, knowing that he could be gone after 1 year for the riches of free agency, where he's expected to receive at least $400 million. And while I do understand his point, and I agree that there isn't an organization that will completely strip their farm system for Tarik Skubal, the Dodgers don't have to. Josue DePaula is fantastic, and I would love to see him come up with the Dodgers, but he's a prospect. And in this potential deal, that would be the only true prospect you're giving up. That would be the only guy who's in theory coming up through the system that you're trading away. You're already thinking about trading Tyler Glasnow anyway. I love Emmett Sheehan, but if you're getting Tarik Skubal, I don't care. You're getting Skubal, and that's a deal I'm taking and running with immediately. So ultimately, do the Dodgers end up with Tarik Skubal? I'm honestly about 50-50 right now. I truly am. If you would have asked me 2 or 3 days ago, I probably would have said 75% no, 25% yes. But if the Tigers, and these reports are legitimate, which every indication says they are, this feels like it's legitimately an option for Detroit. And the Dodgers, as we know, they're the only team that could realistically pull this off. That's all I've got for you here today. I appreciate you hanging out with me and tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and stick around for more updates. Thanks for all your support, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.